field, try to recycle possession, which I think they did well at times, but just seemed over-reliant on Sterling, aka little big man, down the left-hand side, and ultimately weren't really that fruitful. Onto the VAR. I don't think it was a penalty against Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm not being biased, but I clearly saw it hit Bernardo Silva's hand first. Therefore, it wasn't a penalty, and the right VAR decision, which, to be honest, we haven't really seen that clinical throughout the Premier League thus far. And I think this question is still out there as to whether VAR is actually a help or a hindrance to the game. Anyway, more about Liverpool. I mentioned on last week's podcast how Salah was looking sharp, and he really didn't fail to deliver for FPL managers that decided to put him in either instead of Manchester City players or instead of Mane. He was making intelligent runs, dropping the shoulder and showing that turn of pace that really caused a storm 2 seasons back, and really therefore repaid in that goal that he scored and points for FPL managers. Unfortunately, his ankle injury has returned once he's been away with Egypt on international duty. That saviour for FPL managers might be short-lived. But in Mane, I believe you all should trust. Great ironic way to score with a diving header, especially after Pep's comments earlier in the week prior to the game about him being a diver. Overall, I think it was a big win. Look, there's still a lot of games to play, but it's a great marker for us against our biggest rival in the league at the moment. As I said last week on the podcast, I think we've got a better mentality to win games, big games, and generally tough games that sometimes have thwarted us in the past. That may mean the league come May, but look, no one should be overconfident as of yet, and MVD here certainly isn't getting too carried away. But on to the next game, away to Palace, which has been a banana skin in the past at Selhurst Park, but I reckon we'll do the job. Overall, pretty happy. Could be worse, could be a Manchester United fan a la Jimmy Ferguson. Oh, and just a quick shout out about our mini league that many of us on Left Back FPL are in. The NYC Brit Street Boys is getting really interesting, and there's little kind of mini competitions forming between some of us in the league based on our points, and definitely think that Jimmy Ferguson and Ricky Pellegrini is getting tight, and I'm coming for you boys. But it's going to be interesting, and let's see what the Premier League delivers once we're back from international break. But that's it from me, guys. MVD out.
Interesting notes there. Thanks for dialing in, NVD. Not so certain I agree with everything the man has said. I think he's very biased, bit of a one-way guy there. I do think, and Ricky Pellegrini, and also you, Patrick Vieira, I've got to mention this. You both have said Sterling hasn't quite hit it. When I watched the game, he was the only player for me on the City side that was really trying his hardest to take it to him, and his dribbling is brilliant.
I agree. I think he was the most threatening player. De Bruyne was trying to make things happen as well. He was doing his usual crosses in the box. Wasn't quite on target. Aguero's got a horrific score against Liverpool. He's never scored at Anfield.
He just wasn't on form, was he? I mean, he had chances, and he had a gilt-edged chance where De Bruyne put it on a plate, really.
Yeah,
I mean, he just had to make contact.
But two of them where he was an inch away from it, and he was really, really disappointed.
There's something to be said about these superstitions that, certain players, like Kane never used to score in August, and Aguero does not score at Anfield. He never has.
Someone should have told me that last week on the podcast.
I thought this was his time to actually come good and show people what was going on. I felt like he had the chances, and the one thing is he's getting in those positions to make those chances. But we heard from Captain earlier that he took Aguero from his team and he put Vardy and Maddison in, and turned out to be the right decision for him. Now that's $12 million that was tied up in Aguero. You can get Vardy for 9.5. You've got 2.5 left in the bank there. Do people feel, I mean, I have kept Aguero, I've kept faith with the guy. Am I missing a mark? I've been contemplating this. I've been wondering, should I get rid of him and put Jesus in, because he's playing and he's far cheaper. Overall, Aguero has got 70 points. He's selected by 22% of people compared to 50% for Abraham, 34% for Vardy.
That's value.
Is there value in Aguero? Is it time to get rid of him? What do people think?
I think maybe you're thinking change a Man City for Man City. I wouldn't change a Man City for Man City. I'd get rid of Aguero and look elsewhere.
I don't think you should be taking him out of your team. He's always got the threat to score. We've talked about this many times over the past couple of weeks about the biggest thing that impacts him will be, does he get plays? Does he play in the Champions League? Then does he get rested in the Premiership? And you just can't tell that. That's a bit of a risk, especially at this stage in the season. I think going into Christmas, he'll be a big player for them. We've got a couple of hard games coming up. Chelsea next, followed by Newcastle and Burnley is better, but then Man United and Arsenal. That's 3 big games. He will play in all of them. He will score at least 4 goals in the next 5 games.
So you've got Chelsea, Newcastle, Burnley away, and then Man United. Interesting what you're saying there, because you can hang on for a player that is tying up a lot of money for a long time. With Salah, we were talking about it with Salah, and you could get rid of him and get Mane in, and you're actually saving yourself money there.
Well, not really anymore, because Mane has caught up because he's doing so well. He's only 0.3 million behind, so you're not really saving much money. But we're talking about Aguero a lot. What about De Bruyne and Sterling? What are your guys' thoughts on do you keep hold of them? Because they're kind of dangerous players. They're very explosive. We can't ignore him. We know that he's going to come out and score a hat-trick every so often, and he's going to be involved with the goals, and he was probably the most dangerous player at Man City side. Are we giving up hope on Man City? That's really what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like, Man City is not the Man City of last season, are they? They just aren't.
I'll tell you the reason they're not.
They've had like some really poor form recently, and I don't think like getting rid of, for example, Sterling and putting Mane in it would be a bad decision.
The reason for me Man City are struggling, there's 2 reasons. We've already discussed it a few times. Defensively, they're not good enough. There was one point in the Liverpool game where they tried to play it out from the back, and I believe it was, what's that keeper called again, Sean? The Man City guy.
Santander Bank.
So Santander passes it over to John Stones, and it wasn't
Santander. He's injured.
Bravo, was it?
Claudio Bravo.
Whoever the keeper is, he passes it to Stones, and Stones goes to spray it out to the left, and he literally kicks it out of play. It was just ridiculous. Like, he's just not good enough to play the passing game.
Do you think? And
you guys,
sorry, go on.
You guys are deluded, right? Man City losing form. They got beat off Liverpool 3-1 at Anfield. Fair enough. Look at their past results. They beat Southampton. They beat Villa. They gave a couple.
Just beat Southampton 2-1.
Yeah, they still were on top.
Yeah,
watch
agreed.
the game. They wasn't just holding on. They beat
Palace.
The second, and yes, a poor result against Wolves. But don't write them off. Come on, look at the quality.
We're not writing them off. I think the second problem is with Man City. This is a problem both for fantasy managers and for their team. A lack of consistency. Mm-hmm. You cannot win titles by keep on chopping, changing the team, and they keep doing it. A winning team is a solid team that has the same players, that they know who's starting, they know who's playing. It allows them to build the communication together. Last year, Man City had that. This year, Pep keeps on changing it around, and it's not only impacting us, because we don't know who to pick, really. It's impacting them. Sterling does play every week. That's one thing I'd say.
Yeah, Sterling does play.
And saying the rotation system's like just suddenly, like, finally kind of like turned around and bit him head on the arse. It just doesn't work.
Too much rotation.
But having that consistency is important. And they haven't got that consistency. They don't gel as much as they did. Where are they in the Premiership at the moment?
They're 4th right now.
6? All right,
Man City are 4th, and I think you've read it well in terms of the FPL managers right now who are sitting pretty at the top of the table. They're the ones who have read the trend of Leicester over Man City, really. Whereas a lot of us are looking at last season and looking at Man City as the go-to team. Now we're looking at Leicester, and the ones who have read that early on are the ones who are going to be the top of the table, because they've looked at Vardy, they've looked at Maddison, Tielemans, all rising in their value in the FPL.
The first time I watched Leicester this season, really, I paid a lot of attention to them, was that drubbing that they gave Newcastle when they won 5-0.
Yeah.
Newcastle didn't look up to much, to be fair, but Leicester, the attacking football and the counter-attacks that they created, they just looked dangerous every single time. And from that moment, I think I played my wild card the week after, and that's where I knew I had to get them in my team.
You swapped the goalkeeper as well, didn't you? I remember you had a Newcastle goalkeeper, and you swapped him for Schmeichel.
And at the time, Schmeichel didn't have a lot of points, but looking at their fixtures that were coming up then, and even still looking at the fixtures ahead of them, there's value in Schmeichel. He's a bit risky because actually Leicester's defence is so solid that he doesn't get as many saves. So if he gets the clean sheet, fair enough. But
Doesn't get the bonus points.
Yeah, he doesn't get the bonus points. But Vardy, I put him as my captain this week. I called it last week. He was on fire. His header
Vardy is on form.
Do we think this is going to last all season with Leicester? Let's all be honest. Let's lay our cards on the table now. Do we think Leicester, for FPL managers listening out there, do we think this is going to last the season, or is this just going to be a form thing?
I'd like to think so. I think that they look solid. They look hungry. Have they got a chance for the title race? Probably not. Liverpool are so far in front. But I think if anyone's going to put up any kind of competition with Liverpool, I think it'd be Leicester. And it's great to see that. I think the manager's done amazing with his team.
Yeah,
and
Brendan Rodgers.
They play beautiful football. It's I don't support Leicester, but I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I would just say the one thing there is I doubted them the season they won it, and I'm not going to doubt them again. I think that they have shown these last few weeks that they're there for a reason where they are, and they're a really good team. I'm missing players from them, and that's why I think I'm suffering, because I've only got Maddison from them, and I do need to get a Vardy in potentially. But it's trying to fit him in there. Vardy has got the 11 goals this season, Tammy Abraham on 10, and Sergio Aguero's on 9. One thing I'd like to point out is Raheem Sterling's on 7 goals. He's got as many as Mane. You're saying, we are perhaps, to Sean's point, being a bit down on Man City. They're still a fantastic team.
Yeah, still Pep Guardiola, right? He's still the best manager in the world.
One last thing on that City-Liverpool debate is actually, if you look at the top 5 players for City this season, combined they have got 330 points. If you look at the top 5 for Liverpool, you're only on 320. So they are generating more points out there for Premier League managers.
Excellent. Okay, gents, so I think that's the Man City-Liverpool game. Just before we round out in terms of what else we saw last week, going back to the dream team of the week, one guy that was on there that I'd like to mention was Deulofeu. Now, he did very well last season. He hasn't done an awful lot this season. Is he back now? He scored 2 goals, one in each of the last 2 weeks. Any value in him?
I had him at the start of the season, actually. I like the guy. He's a Barcelona product, the academy. I think he's got great skill, but Watford didn't start very well, right? But now, I think with him and them to start picking up results, they're going to do better. I think they're going to crawl themselves out of the bottom 3, and I worry for West Ham, because I think Watford will be chasing right behind them.
One team I want to ask you guys about, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolves.
Pack of Wolves! Good results. Do you think there's value there? They beat Villa 2-1, they drew 1-1 with Arsenal, they drew 1-1 with Newcastle, they drew 1-1 with Southampton, a few draws. They obviously beat Man City. They were on a good run of form.
The only thing I'm worried about them, because I was debating about this, right? I was going between Jimenez and Abraham, right? And the only thing that was in the back of my mind that was really bugging me and proved true at the weekend, they don't score tons of goals, Wolves. Chelsea score a lot of goals, Leicester score a lot of goals, so do Man City, so do Liverpool. But with Wolves, they're a good team, they're a solid team, very good defence. Jimenez is their main man. But you've noticed from their results, 1-0s, 1-alls. They've had a lot of draws, which has been a problem for them this season. Banking on Wolves as a team is hard, but Jimenez, I do believe, he's in an upturn of form. That's why I got him in my team.
And I was impressed this week when I looked at your team on Friday night after the games had started. We could obviously see who you had captain. And I look in there and I say, who's Jimenez?
Who's Jimenez?
No, I know.
Jimmy's cousin.
Jimenez, I saw you had there. And I was like, wow, that's a big call. Not one we normally see. And to be honest, it didn't look like it was going to work out for you until the 85th minute.
Until the 85th minute, yeah.
He gets a goal, he gets the bonus point. And that was a good decision. I admire you for that.
Appreciate it.
I noticed you also had Traore in your team. I have him in my team ever since he got that brace against City and you put him in at the same time. Again, I wondered if that was a bit too ambitious, expecting that to continue. If he gets 5 points week in, week out, like he did this week, I'll keep him there. But still to be decided.
One other quick note on that. Wolves, they did change their formation again. So you know how they scored the 2 goals against Man City, playing Traore further up the pitch? They went to a 3-4-3 against Villa, and Traore was playing the Salah role again. So I think we're going to expect more from Traore for FPL managers. If you're thinking about putting him in your team, he's obviously a low-cost option. He's risen to 5.2, which suggests a lot of people since the weekend have got him in. Their team was at 5.1. So still a low-cost option. I think Wolves will continue their strong run of form.
So it was a great week of football that we saw. A lot of results, a lot of decisions and action moments which will impact your team coming ahead after the international break. I just think they're summarised the flop and the Klopp for the week. Klopp of the week has to be Captain Ross. What a performance you did there. You pulled that out of the bag from big calls. And I'm impressed, mate. The double sub worked for you. The flop of the week is tied between two people. First of all, I thought it was going to be Mr. Pellegrini here, as he's just continued to fall down the table.
Yep.
But his big call in making Jimenez captain and let him hang on has saved that. The flop of the week for me has to be Aguero. Mate, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
There's two chances I thought where he just had to, one of them his head, one of them his foot. Just a little bit more ambition, and I thought he would have got there.